Are you an expat or an international student who just landed in Germany? You're excited about a new start in a new country, your new job, or starting at a new university. It could be for your master's, PhD, or your bachelor's program. It could even be for an Ausbildung, whatever the case may be. Just so you know, there are things that are illegal here in Germany and that can attract a huge fine on you. I mean, some of these things, if you think about them, are not like serious offenses, but in Germany, they're serious. In this video, I'm going to be telling you about five crazy things that are illegal here in Germany. If you're ready, let's delve in. Before we go into the five crazy things that are illegal here in Germany, you need to know that once you go against the law, in some cases, you're required to pay a fine. And in Germany, there are two types of fine. The first one is Bußgeld and the second one is Geldstrafe. Now what the first one means is that maybe you go against traffic, or you drive without a license, or you throw dirt inappropriately, or any of those kind of things, then you get this kind of fine. The second one is when you commit a really serious offense, like murder, stealing, those kind of things, then you get that kind of fine, which is, I said earlier, is known as Geldstrafe. Now let's delve into the five things that are illegal here in Germany. Now the first thing on my list is riding without a ticket. Now what this means is that you get into a public transportation without a ticket. In Germany, it's seen as riding in black, which in German is known as Schwarzfahren. So you get into a public transportation, could be a bus, could be a tram, could be an U-Bahn, like any of the public transportation without the ticket. This is a huge crime here in Germany. And you have to pay for it if you're caught. So it's better you pay your bus ticket than, paying a fine that is 10 times an inflated price of the actual amount you're meant to pay. And the fine for getting into a bus or in any public transportation in Germany, in most of the states, is placed at 60 euros. So just imagine buying a ticket which is like 3 euros, and then you ignore not buying the ticket and then go ahead to get into a public transport. You're going to pay 60 euros, which is, trust me, it's not worth it. When I came to Germany, I made this mistake. I got into a public transportation, and my intention was to get the ticket from the app while I was en route to where I was going in the bus. So there was this guy, he walked up to me. Most of them don't wear uniforms. Some of them have their IDs and they're required by law to do that. And the first thing he told me was, Entschuldigung, Sie Fahrkarte bitte. And I was like, that's what I'm trying to get, on the app. And then he says, we're already midway to the trip, by the way. And he told me that means I am riding without a ticket. And I tried to defend myself, and this guy didn't even waste any time. He didn't even want to know if I was new in Germany. He just asked for my my address, my ID card, which had my address, and then boom, he gave me the ticket, 60 euros. Guess what? Do you know how much that ticket cost? I was supposed to pay 3.80 euro, which is even discounted as a student, and I ended up paying 60 euros fine. And one thing you should know about this fine is that if you don't pay immediately, you're given a time frame to pay. If you don't pay it immediately, it keeps piling up. And before you know it, you're going to pay an outrageous amount. So it's better you avoid this kind of thing and just get your ticket. You can get your ticket on the DB app or on the app which is allocated to the region where you live. So you need to check the region where you live to see the app that you can download and get your ticket. Avoid this. So the second thing is washing car at home. This is not allowed in Germany. Trust me, you don't want to do this. You really don't want to do this. In Germany, it is prohibited, it is forbidden to wash a car in front of your home. There are so many car wash you can go to, designated car wash around where you live, or maybe a little bit far from where you live, where you can wash your car for really little amount of money. You don't have to pay so much to wash your car. Now, the reason why it is forbidden to wash your car in front of the house is because of the piping system here in Germany. If you're new in Germany or you're already living in Germany, you should know that most of the houses drink tap water. In fact, Germans drink tap water. But because of this, if you wash car in front of your house, it can pollute most of the piping system and contaminate the water which is being drank by so many people, the tap water which is drank by so many people here in Germany. So if you are caught doing that, it attracts a fine of 1,000 euros. Bro, you don't want to pay 1,000 euros for washing car in front of your house. I know if you go to places like the United States or some other country, especially in summer, you see people like washing their cars in front of their house. Even in my country, like literally wash our car in front of the compound. But in Germany, it's a no, don't do it. Next up is swimming in prohibited places, that is protected waters. Most of these places are very attractive looking lakes, and you're like on a hot summer, you want to just find somewhere to swim and you don't care about what's around and just boom, you dive in. That's a huge fine coming your way. So you want to be careful. Look out for posts where you say swimming forbidden, that is swimming prohibited in such areas. Don't just go into a lake or like a certain. Don't just go into a lake because you see it's open, it's free, you can just get in. No, you need to pay like attention to your environment. Always look out for swimming forbidden, because if you go into prohibited waters, you are getting a fine. And when you go into prohibited waters, you get a fine of up to 5,000 euros. You really don't want to do that. Like just swimming in prohibited waters, like maybe for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you get a fine of 5,000 euros. Bro, look for a pool around you or somewhere, or just shower in your house, because if you go against this law or this rule, wherever you see it, it's always placed in a very strategic place where you can see it. So you don't have any excuse to say, oh, I didn't know, and it's written. You can't say, oh, I didn't know. And that's the more reason why you should learn German. So you don't say, oh, I don't understand the language. That's why I went into it. And always ask questions. If you don't want to pay 5,000 euros fine for swimming, then avoid it. Now, the fourth thing on my list, which is illegal here in Germany, is general insult. So if you make racial slurs or showing the middle finger, it's a really huge fine you're going to get. Or saying something like, du bist voll asozial, which is you are totally antisocial. Or saying something like, du bloody cow, which is a bloody cow. You're going to get a huge fine. Like, really, it might seem like something which shouldn't be taken seriously. Now, the main aim of doing this for the German government is to make a society where people have respect for each other and live happily without throwing insults at each other. I know in the world now it's something which is unavoidable. You hear it a lot. But in Germany, they're trying to, get rid of these kind of things. And for example, if you racially abuse someone, like if there's an evidence to back that up, like there's a witness, you are going to pay a fine of up to 2,000 euros. Yes, that's how serious it is here in Germany. Also, addressing a police officer as du. You don't want to do that, because if you address a police officer as du, it is seen as disrespectful and could amount to a fine of 600 euros. So you don't want to do this. In most cases, if this is coming from someone who is new to Germany and doesn't really understand German, then the judge is going to say, okay, this person doesn't know, and then there could be they could reduce the fine for you. But if this comes from a German, someone that is proven to understand German, or you've lived in Germany for a long time, not even being a German citizen, then you also will pay the fine of 600 euros if you address the police officer with du. So don't do it. Now, the fifth thing on my list is don't be a pirate. Now, what this means is that you downloading copyrighted material from certain sites, especially torrent site. In Germany, it's a no-no. I know, coming from my country, for example, like we could just see movies online or anything we just download. I know most of you who are like hearing this are like, really? Like, is this really necessary? In my country, like, we download a lot of things. It's like a cultural thing. Like, so when you come to Germany, it might be surprising to you, but for me, I really understand this, law not to download copyrighted material, else you get fined. I really relate to it, because I mean, imagine putting so much of work into a craft and then putting out there, and then you see it all over the place, or people downloading it, and you're not getting reward for your work. It doesn't make any sense. The most important thing why you put out that work is to get something in return back, you know. So I like this particular law in Germany. So please try as much as possible not to download copyrighted materials from torrent site, because when you do, you're going to get a letter in your mailbox, because there are people who are ordered to, you know, monitor with your IP. You know, they have your IP address, and once they just know that you're downloading copyrighted materials, they get your address and everything, and you get a letter in your mailbox with a fine. Not them warning you, get a fine instantly, and this fine can amount from 500 euros to 1,000 euros per the material you download. So if you download 10 movies, or you download 10 series or episodes, you're going to get fined for each of those movies. I'm not saying 10 movies and then you pay 1,000. No, per movie or per song you download, you're going to pay a fine for it. So you don't want to do it. I've seen students who did it in the past. Even when they got the letter, they ignored, and the money keeps increasing. They keep downloading, it keeps increasing. And then by the time they came for them, the money had gotten to about 20,000 euros, and you have to pay. Especially if you want to stay in Germany long term, you have to pay, because it's going to tarnish your record here in Germany. And mind you, this is not saying you can't stream while you're living in Germany. I mean, it's going to be totally boring, right? But what they're just trying to say is you can stream, like from sites like Amazon Prime or Netflix. You can actually stream from there, because you pay for the subscription there, which is same as you paying for the craft you're getting. Now, the last two things I'll be revealing are just bonuses that you should also know. These things are also illegal here in Germany, and your neighbors can also sue you, especially if it's a German neighbor. Trust me, especially the Omas or the Opas that you have as neighbors, they can sue you for like this kind of things. Like, one of them is throwing glass bottles after 10 p.m. You see, it sounds like, what's that? Like, why should somebody take me to court because of that? Yes, people are taking to court because of that. So avoid throwing glasses after 10 p.m. in Germany. Now, the last but not the least bonus is known as the Sonntag Now, what this means is quiet time on Sundays. If you're living in Germany, you need to know that on Sundays it's regarded as rest time, you know, or quiet time. So you need to be quiet. You don't need to make so much noise. And that's why you notice that if you just came to Germany, you would have noticed that on Sundays, most of the commercial places are all closed for activities. You don't see any of them opening. And this is really important here in Germany, because people work from Monday up until like Friday or Saturday. It depends on how long you work, you know, the days of the week. And people take their Sundays like really seriously, because they use it to rest and prepare or rejuvenate for the following week, which is coming. And trust me, if someone takes you to court because of this, the person is backed by the law. So try as much as possible to, if you must make noise, it should be minimal. Reduce it to the barest minimum. Like, your neighbor shouldn't hear it, because once your neighbor hears it, trust me, you're getting a letter from the court or from their lawyer. And there are some environments where people go against this law, you know, and say, oh, nothing is going to happen. But if you live in an environment where people take this really, really, really serious, then you don't want to be doing that. So try to avoid all of these things so you can keep a really clean record while you're living, studying, and working here in Germany. So there you have it. These are the 5 crazy things that are illegal here in Germany. I know you might be wondering, but these things shouldn't be taken like really, really important, or like fines placed on them. But I mean, in some cases, you just have to do this so you can maintain law and order in a society. And that's why Germany is known to be a police state. Like, everything has to be maintained, like law and order has to be maintained. If you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, do well to hit the subscribe button. Also, give this video a thumbs up by liking this video, and share this video to get to a wider audience, I really want to know what you think about all of these things in the comment section. And if you have any question whatsoever about any other video or a video you want me to talk about or shoot, leave it in the comment section and I'll be responding to each and every one of them. Until the next time, I love you guys. Stay focused, stay motivated. Adios.